The Prime Minister has expressed surprise at the jump in the unemployment rate, now at 7.3%. The last time it was higher was in 1999. He's even questioning his own statisticians.
It's at odds with quite a lot of other data that we see, a little bit at odds with the Quarterly Employment Survey. And what the Household Labour Force Survey is saying today is that more people are unemployed in Auckland. That's also a little bit at odds with the anecdotal evidence that we see up there. So look, in the end, these things bounce around quite a bit.
But with recent announcement that workers at Tiwai Point Smelter and Solid Energy will soon also be on the job hunt, those figures could yet get worse. Finance Minister Bill English joins me now from Wellington. Good morning to you, Minister. Obviously, the Prime Minister there surprised at these figures. Were you surprised?
Well, look, it's a grumpy recovery. We've got a growing economy. We're on track to grow at 2 to 3%. And we're finding within that recovery that there's some businesses doing well. Some can't find the people they need with the skills that they need. Others, as we've heard, are laying people off, and it makes it a pretty tough. Well, look, these numbers don't fit with some of the other indicators. Just for this quarter, for instance, the number of people on unemployment benefit continues to drop, including in Auckland, where this survey shows a rise in the number of people unemployed. But look, the reality for people out in the market is that it's hard to find a job. There are some businesses which are being affected by the high dollar, where people are losing jobs and are having to shift. So look, we don't underestimate the impact for households and families. But do you too question the statistics? Is it out of step with what you perceive to be reality? Well, look, it's for people who are looking for jobs, it's hard, and these numbers would express the reality for the difficulty of finding a job for some people. It just doesn't fit with some of the other indicators. But what we have found through this recovery is that it has been a bit hard to predict. We've seen these sort of numbers jump around before. They can be up one quarter, down another quarter. We are on track, but we do want to see more job growth going along with the growth in the economy. And some aspects of that recovery have turned out to be weaker for longer. For instance, it's taking longer for housing construction to get up and going. That's starting to happen in Christchurch. It's been a bit slower across the rest of the country. Exporters will tell you that the sustained period of this high dollar that's been driven largely by policy in the United States of America and Europe is wearing away at their profitability and their ability to provide more jobs. So that's just the nature of the recovery we're in, where New Zealand, like the rest of the developed world, has got to get its high debt levels down, and that's a bit of a long, slow drag. Well, I want to talk to you about those debt levels then. Is now really the time to be cutting public spending, focusing on that deficit when you have people, so many people in this situation? Our economists this morning say, why not delay the deficit reduction by a few years? What's it really going to hurt? Well, we believe we've got about the right balance there. We have run up a very large deficit. When those jobs are not being created to offset the jobs we're losing elsewhere by Christchurch, is now really the time to be cutting jobs, say, in the public sector? Well, as I said, we believe we've got the balance about right. We have been spending quite large sums of money, for instance, on infrastructure projects that do provide thousands of jobs. On the other hand, we do need to get back to surplus over time. New Zealand is going through a more moderate adjustment than most other developed countries. There are other ways to deal with the issue of whether the economy is going too fast or too slow. For instance, the Reserve Bank has the capacity to move interest rates around. We're seeing in Australia the interest rates there have actually come down in the last couple of months. So we don't want to. We think we've got the right balance between spending through the recession to protect people from its worst effects on the one hand, but making sure our debt doesn't get out of control on the other hand. So, Mr. English, can I just clarify? If you think you've got the right balance, you're happy with unemployment at 7.3%? No, I'm not. We're not happy with unemployment at 7.3%. We're weighing up a range of things here, and that is our obligation to workers in the future, that we don't saddle them with very high levels of debt, at the same time as our need to spend through this recession as we have done. I mean, government debt has risen from 20 billion and it's going to reach over $70 billion by the time we get to surplus. So that's a $50 billion spend up supporting the economy through this difficult period.
Mr English, some people would say the only thing that's stopping the Reserve Bank Governor from cutting interest rates further to try and support this recovery is the housing market. Could you be doing more to stop that getting out of control and allow him to do what he can to support the rest of the economy?
Well, we made some announcements a couple of weeks ago that indicate that we believe more should be done. To achieve that, we need to work with councils, because councils make the decisions that have an impact on the supply of housing to the market. And if that supply is restricted...
Yes, but that's going to take years, Mr English. That's going to take years.
Well, it'll take years if we want it to take years. The fact is, if we really do think that we can act to contain the price of housing, then with councils and the government with the political will, we don't need to take years to do it.
Just briefly, several months ago, the EPMU called a crisis meeting on jobs. At the time, no one from the government would concede it was a crisis. Do you feel any differently now?
No, we don't feel any differently, and I noticed that out of the crisis meetings, we didn't see any constructive suggestions. We are focusing on supporting businesses to make the decision to invest another dollar and employ another person, because that's where the jobs will come, from businesses who have the confidence to do it. And but we're laying out right now, we've just published the fourth of a series of 6 documents laying out our economic plan to support businesses to make that decision, and we will take any measure we think, any measure that's vaguely reasonable to assist businesses to employ more people.
Thank you very much. That is the Finance Minister, Bill English. He's talking there about business confidence. I think these figures are evidence, if you needed it, that they just don't have that confidence right now.